Hi, I'm Debbie Harbeck, and I'm a certified life coach working with women in midlife and through the menopause transition. So each week, I'll be sharing the latest information, inspiration, and generate some momentum so you can move forward and feel more in control of your changing midlife body and your life. Let's go. Hi, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm sorry if my voice is a little off today. I've had a bit of a cold, so just bear with me. I'm sure we'll get through this. Today, I want to share something deeply personal. So what I'm sharing today on the podcast, yes, I've talked about this, but not in this way before. So I'm sharing this because maybe you or maybe somebody you know is in this situation, and that is being a motherless daughter. So if you've lost your mom recently, or maybe even years or decades ago, you're probably feeling waves of grief as you move through, especially this menopause transition. It will show up for sure. Not only because your mom isn't here any longer, but because you may also be feeling lost. Maybe you're feeling fearful or lonely because she isn't here. So I'll start by sharing a little bit about my story of losing my mom, which was without a doubt the most defining moment of my life. First, I'll say I was fortunate to have her in my life for 27 years. She was there through my first pregnancy. She held my hand in the delivery room. My mother was a trained nurse, and she just expertly took my newborn daughter into her arms very easily and calmly. She knew how to soothe a crying baby, and she gave me just this great start into motherhood. And I only had her for 3 months, but I am so grateful for those 3 months that she was here. So she was diagnosed with colorectal cancer, and within 3 weeks, she died. And she was 57, and today is April 23rd, and it happens to be her birthday. She would have been 82. I can't even imagine that. So you'd think after 25 years, maybe this grief wouldn't be here. Maybe I wouldn't still be missing her. But the thing is that with every transition in my life, grief shows up and I feel her absence. And I imagine that if you're a daughter without a mother at this time of life, you are feeling this too. And when it comes to menopause, I don't know anything about my mom's menopause journey, not a thing. We didn't talk about it, although I distinctly remember the package of Premarin, which is a type of estrogen therapy, on her dresser. I never asked her about it. I was in my 20s. I was totally clueless about menopause. And at that time, in the late 90s, she probably didn't talk about it with anyone except her doctor. And now as I go through perimenopause, with the brain fog, with the joint aches, with the sleep issues, and even wondering sometimes who I even am anymore, I wish I could ask her what it was like for her. Was she scared? Was she angry? What were the symptoms that were challenging for her? And did she feel alone? So there's a very specific kind of grief that comes from not just losing your mom, but losing her before you are ready to ask these big questions in life. Now reflecting on being motherless at this time of life, there are 5 things I want to share that you may also be feeling, and I just want to validate all of it because up until recently, I hadn't validated it myself. And it's important that you come to validate your feelings and know that you're not alone. So the first one is feeling this loss of guidance. So you didn't get to ask your mother about her menopause experience, about aging, about her regrets, and about what she'd learned. It kind of feels like you've lost a map when you really needed it. I lost her when I had just become a mother, and I was completely lost as a new mother. And now at this time of life, I also have this feeling of being lost, which is a huge reason why I started this podcast, why I coach women in midlife, because I need that in my life, and I know you need that in your life. Someone to talk to, someone who will support you and who won't judge you. And those who, like me, are motherless in midlife, getting this support is so important. Another thing you might feel, no matter how long it's been, and I mean no matter how long it's been, is grief. And I find grief comes in waves, and sometimes they hit you out of nowhere. I know we expect to lose our parents eventually, we all do, but when it happens earlier than expected or before you're really ready, there's a sense of losing your anchor, your sense of safety, your groundedness. So when I was younger, and most of my friends still had their moms to call on for, recipes, for emotional support, for help with the kids, a lot of grief would show up for me. A lot of those waves of grief would show up, not only because I was missing her, but because my children would never know her or be cared for by her. And now that I'm older, I thought maybe grief wouldn't show up so much. But this is an emotional time of life, and another time I felt unprepared for because she wasn't here. So grief continues even 25 years later, and I've learned that that is okay. Grief is just a part of being human. It's a human feeling, and it's not a temporary thing. It comes and it goes through the years, and I've really learned to embrace that. Another thing that might show up is that you fear the same fate as your mother, or you fear the age she was when she died, especially if she died young. So maybe, like me, you feel like this ticking clock sensation. Will I die young too? It's kind of like a psychological wall that you just can't see beyond. And as much as I want to see beyond 57, it's like this barrier. And I just want to get to the other side of it. But honestly, I don't really see the other side of it right now. I need to go through 57. And right now I'm 52. So 5 years away, but it still looms there. I know that for some of us, this can cause a feeling of urgency, like I got to get stuff done, anxiety, and maybe even panic alongside of the grief you're already feeling. So for me, this has been a blessing and a curse. I've had this sense of urgency. The blessing is that sense of urgency that put a fire under my butt to live the life I wanted to, because maybe 57 is the end of the road. It showed me that life is impermanent and it's not long. So that helped me leave my job. It helped me become a coach. It helped me to do the work that I do. And I appreciate that. And maybe it's helped you too. But there's also that other element of what's going to happen, right? So the next thing is that losing your mother at any age changes your identity. You're no longer a daughter of your mother. So often what can happen, especially if you're the only daughter or the oldest daughter, you may quickly transition from daughter to matriarch. Ready or not, it's coming for you, right? This is what happened to me. I was the only daughter and the oldest child. So I took the reins. I hosted all the holidays and celebrations. And I've even been the emotional support for my dad, who lost his wife, and been there for my brothers, especially my littlest one, who was only 17 at the time. Now, a positive part of this was that I realized how strong I was, and that I was more capable than I gave myself credit for. And honestly, it gave me a lot of confidence to be able to do this. At the same time, didn't give me the chance to stop and grieve. And no one was there to ask me if I was okay, because my mother wasn't there. So again, there's good, there's bad, but you do recreate yourself. And finally, there's that feeling of loneliness that I mentioned at the beginning when you go through major transitions. So if you're a mom yourself in this menopause transition and you're parenting older kids, it can feel especially lonely without your mom to reflect back on what she went through. And even not being able to share the excitement of birthdays and graduations, weddings, all of it, right? On every big occasion that passes, my mom is always present in my mind, and I miss her. But when I go through hard things, when life really gets tough for me, I crave her presence, and I do talk to her, and I just want her support. And that's when I miss her the most, and that's when I feel most alone in the world. Even though we've got family and friends, not having a mom's unconditional arm around you can still be really hard sometimes. No matter how old we are, sometimes we just want our mommies. Maybe you're feeling some of these things too. That's why I wanted to share this topic today. I know it's not easy. It's not easy for me to talk about this either, but I just want you to know that you are not alone. I am with you. We can rely on each other. And also know that it's okay to be grieving even decades after your mom is gone. And it's okay to feel stronger and maybe more capable because of her absence. There is no right or wrong here. There's good that can come along with the bad. And if you want to talk or you need support, please reach out. I am here for you, and I understand. As always, thanks for listening today, and please share this episode with any woman who needs to hear this so that she doesn't feel so alone. And if you feel moved to rate or review this episode, please do that on Apple or Spotify. I would absolutely love that. So with that, I'll be here next week with a fresh new episode. Bye for now. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Midlife Momentum Podcast. If you want to learn more about working with me, come visit me at debbieharbeckcoaching.com. That's Debbie, I-E, Harbeck with a C, coaching.com. See you next week.